𝗺𝗵𝗂𝗋 2023.
Good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Can I take my 20 minutes? Yes? Okay. On a Sunday morning like this, I believe once a priest was invited in South Africa to speak to an audience about good things in life. The priest was a little worried because people are not willing to listen to good things in life these days. So he said, I'm not interested in speaking. However, the organizers pressurized the priest to come and speak. And the priest came and to an audience like this on a Sunday morning. And then he said to the audience, do you know what I'm going to speak about? The audience said, we don't know. He said, if you don't know, why should I speak? And he went away. The next Sunday he came again. And then he asked the same set of audience, do you know what I'm going to speak about? The audience became smart. They said, last time we said we didn't know the one. We know. He said, if you know, why should I speak? And he went away. The third time he came again, and in front of the same audience, he asked the same question. Do you know what I'm going to speak about? This time the audience became even smarter. So one half got up and said, we know. The other half got up and said, we don't know. He said, those who know, please preach to those who don't know. And he went away. Now, this is exactly the position in which we are in today, because speaking the truth is the most difficult thing to do in life. Deciding on the topic, of course, we have a topic today, future of entrepreneurship. Deciding on the language to speak, Tamil or English, but I have chosen a more difficult language, the hardest language, called truth. For the next few minutes, please permit me to speak the truth. When we speak about the future of entrepreneurship, we must speak a little about the past and also the present. Former Secretary of State, United States of America, Colin Powell, once said, history must be used only as a rear view mirror and not as a windshield. You can't keep looking back too often. You have to focus on the future. But while focusing on the future, you need to look back a little and learn from the past. The dictionary meaning of the word entrepreneur is a person who makes money by starting or running businesses, especially when this involves taking financial risks. People who have the money are not willing to take risks. People who are willing to take risks do not have the money. That's the paradoxical situation today. The main point which most of us have been pondering over in the Nagarattar community is shifting from being a provider of employment to being a seeker of employment. From being a provider of employment, we have slowly shifted away. If you look at our trades, the Nagarattar trades, they're generally conservative and conventional. We are a very content people, and we do not believe in taking big risks. We also lack the killer instinct, and we are not very aggressive when it comes to achieving our goals. However, our biggest strength has always been our integrity. We are also a very intelligent population. I think we can take credit for that. Nagarattars are generally very intelligent people. The only problem we face is how to combine intelligence and integrity. In India, we have tremendous amount of intelligence. There is no dearth for intelligence. But when it comes to integrity, there is a tremendous shortage. Several years ago, we used to talk about illiteracy as the biggest problem in our country. Today, it is no longer a problem. Intelligence without integrity is even a bigger problem than illiteracy. I wish to share an incident in the life of Abraham Lincoln, who became the President of the United States of America. Before becoming the President of the US, he was a practicing advocate. One day, one of his clients came to him and said, I have committed a murder, but I have enough evidence to prove that I haven't. Here are the papers. Can you please argue this case for me? You are the most intelligent advocate in this town, and I'm sure you'll be able to save me. Mr. Abraham Lincoln thought for a while. He said, leave the papers with me and come back tomorrow. He went through the papers that night. The next day, the client came and he said, I'm not prepared to argue this case for you. The client said, I'm prepared to pay any amount. But Abraham Lincoln said, I can't, because when I argue this case in the court of law, my conscience will keep telling me, Lincoln, you're a liar. Lincoln, you're a liar. And I cannot live with such a guilty conscience. Ladies and gentlemen, the message Mr. Lincoln conveyed was very clear. He said, I am prepared to sell my time, but not my conscience. And this, my dear friends, is what is called integrity. Scrupulously honest. And that is what made him the President of the US. Remember, that was the quality. The only quality that made him the President of the United States of America was his integrity. I'm not sure if it will happen today. My question to all of you is, are we still believing in our strengths, or are we compromising on the long-established value systems and trying to adapt ourselves to the deteriorating standards, declining values, and the diminishing respect for ethical behavior? Doing business is not just to make money. There are several other social objectives involved. Indeed, it is an earning proposition. It is an employment provider. It is an opportunity to do charity. And it is, of course, a contributor to the growth of economy. Effective entrepreneurship is about competence, compassion, and commitment. Keep your cup full is something that we need to remember. If you want to pour, your cup must be full. You can't pour from an empty cup. And that's exactly what we need to think in terms of using our intelligence to help others. Nagarathas are people with great acumen, the ability to make good judgment and take quick decisions. And when I say this, I must mention that Nagarathar women are more competent than the Nagarathar men. If only we had given a chance to our women 25 years ago, 50 years ago, this community would have beaten the Jews. We didn't. We missed the opportunity. We did not. We probably believed more in male chauvinism. Had we given an opportunity to the women, I'm sure we would have progressed far, far more. And I must tell you that we have to encourage and motivate Nagarathar women to take to business and to make use of this untapped resource in a very big way for the future. One thing that we as Nagarathas did not believe is exit policy. When you think you have the right to start a business, you must also think that you have the right to close it down if you don't think it is worth the while. But unfortunately, in our community, there is something called the prestige. I've started it, and I must somehow run it, no matter what. And that's where we went wrong many times. Now, I would like to just tell you one of the biggest impediments to entrepreneurship is rampant corruption. If you ask any youngster, why don't you do business? He will say, I can't be ethical, therefore I don't want to do business. Why do Nagarattar men go away from India to several other countries? Because they think that merit is not valued in India. There's only money power that can play. The 3Ms, the money power, the muscle power, and the mafia power have taken over, and many of our youngsters are completely demotivated. Rampant corruption is one of the biggest impediments which is discouraging our youngsters to get into active business. We are afraid to talk about corruption. Many of us sitting in this hall have endorsed corruption. We have accepted corruption as a way of life. I'm sure most of you will come back and tell me, sir, that is all not possible. It's just you have to live with it. But I must tell you that unless we bring this to an end, there is no future for any one of us. Corruption is like a stumbling block. On the way, if you find a big rock obstructing you from moving, and if you say, I will remain stagnated, you will remain stagnated there forever. You always say that this block is too big for me to move it out. Yes, I can understand. But why don't you start chipping and making the block smaller? There is a formula which I've been talking about, the 3R formula, which will help us to get rid of corruption over a period of time. May not be during our lifetime, but at least let our children live a better life. The 3R formula is resist corruption, which we have not done. We have never resisted corruption. We say corruption is acceptable. No, don't worry. What do you want? Come on. Okay, doesn't matter. Fine. The second thing is reduce corruption. If somebody says, I want so much, say, I won't give you so much, I'll give you only half. Reduce corruption. Why not? A lot of money is being invested by several of us in paying bribes to several of the politicians and bureaucrats. Please don't tell me no. See, this is why I said truth is the hardest language to speak, and I'm speaking it for sure because the simple reason is we are making life difficult for the next generation. Resist corruption, reduce corruption, then try to remove corruption. It has to be a 3-step formula. It might be spread over 3 decades, doesn't matter. Or even it might take a century, doesn't matter. Let our children, next generation, lead a better life, a better quality life than you and I are leading. And this is something that I wanted to emphasize upon. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us must be proud that we belong to a community which has always believed in thinking globally and acting locally. We have believed in leading a simple life. We have been financially disciplined. We are peace-loving people, and we follow the policy of live and let live. Entrepreneurship is all about establishing a win-win situation. All stakeholders should stand to gain. The investor, the shareholders, the employees, the customers, the government, and the nation must all progress together. Pay your taxes right. Be it the GST, the sales tax, the central excise, or the income tax. We must pay our taxes right. But don't forget to pay the most important tax to God, called the gratitude tax. All of us are indeed very gifted, privileged. God has been partial to all of us. Whereas He has deprived several others, He has given a lot of money to us. Don't you think that we have to repay the form of gratitude by doing some charity, Life is like a game of chess. Once the game is over, the king and the pawn go back into the same box. Ego eradication is the most important thing that we have to indulge ourselves in. It has to be on top of the agenda. Ego is killing individuals. It is killing organizations. It is killing an institution. It is killing the nation. And it is probably killing the whole world. Let us therefore engage ourselves in ego eradication. Fighting for power, for money, for fame, for positions. Why? You're not going to take anything with you. Nothing will matter in the end. No matter how huge your house is, no matter how large your bank balance is, no matter how recent your car is, no matter how powerful your position in life is, at the end, the size of our graves will all be the same. Nobody is going to dig up 1 acre of land to bury you, because today things are even more different. You have the electric crematoriums. Will just push you in and you're burnt to ashes. I always keep telling people, you're either burnt and forgotten or you're buried and forgotten. But if you want to be remembered, do good, be helpful, and be a good human being. That's the most important thing in life. Let me thank the IBCN for inviting me, allowing me to share some of my views. I want each and every one of you to give a thought, a serious thought to life, because today's society is spiritually starved and morally bankrupt. I always keep thinking to myself, I have seen my birth certificate. It says Alagu Alagappan, it says my father's name, my mother's name, my date of birth, my place of birth, everything is fine with it. I won't live to see my death certificate. For sure I will not. But I can imagine my death certificate. It will also say Alagu Alagappan, date of death, cause, that's it. Nobody is going to attach my biodata or my balance sheet to my death certificate, for sure. So ladies and gentlemen, please remember, life is the same proposition for all of us. The beginning and the end is all the same. Entrepreneurship is meant to make life more meaningful, and it is also meant to make all of us continue to remain human at all times. Thank you very much.